Shalom. First and foremost, as always, giving all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rachak, Qudash. Double honors to the apostle, elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. Yeah, I want to focus. I was reading up in the book of Samuel. I just want to go into David versus Goliath, that chapter, which is First Samuel, the 17th chapter, going into how when David took down Goliath, which it wasn't David, but the Lord took down Goliath through David. But I want to just focus on the story to show how it represents what we're going through today with Jacob and Esau. And I might, well, let me not say that, but fuck it, who gives a shit? I might start saying Adawam in my videos from now on, because that's how you would say Edom in Hebrew. It's Adawam, which means red. Because when you see the so-called white man, they're not white, they are red. Their skin is translucent. So instead of saying, Edom, I'll say, or Esau, I'll say Adawam. So then this is the battle between, David versus Goliath is the same as how we're going through this fight right now, Jacob versus Adawam, because Esau has everything. Esau has the military, he has the government, he has the even the people's minds. When you look at it, not trying to compare him to the Most High, because the Most High is in control of all things. He controls spirits. He controls everything. He has armies of angels. He has the prophets. But Esau trying to be like the Most High. He even has the people on the side, because what happened when the pandemic first started coming out? You had certain people who were acting like the police of Esau. Brothers were posting videos how certain Adawamium were coming out and trying to police for Esau, trying to be like, where's your mask? Why don't you have a mask on your face? What are you doing? And things like that. And it's like, are you the police for these people? Like, why are you, bothering me because I don't have a mask on my face? And that's very funny because recently watched the Matrix movie as well. And Morpheus even told Neo that when he was going through the Matrix with him, the scene with the woman in the red dress. And one thing that I remember Morpheus saying to Neo was how these people are so dependent on the system that they will fight to protect it. And that's what you're seeing with these people. So Esau even has the people. He could use the people to come against those that are not down with his agenda. Because these people are so dependent on the system that they don't know what else to do without the system. So want to focus on David versus Goliath and show how that fight between Jacob and Adawam is the same thing today. So I'm just going to read through the whole chapter. So this is First Samuel chapter 17, starting from the top. It says, Now the Philistines gathered together their armies to battle, and were gathered together at Sokoth, which belonged to Judah, and pitched between Sokoth and Azekah and Ephes Danim. Hopefully, I'm praying I'm saying these words correctly. And Saul and the men of Israel were gathered together and pitched by the valley of Elah, and set the battle in array against the Philistines. And the Philistines stood on a mountain on the one side, and Israel stood on a mountain on the other side, and there was a valley between them. And there went out a champion out of the camp of the Philistines, named Goliath of Gath, whose height was 6 cubits in a span. When I looked that up, I believe it said he was about 6 feet. I'm sorry, not 6 feet, 11 feet tall. And what you can liken that to these E's or Adawam's, his power structure. It's huge, it's tall. It's going to go into how Goliath looks, how tall he is, the armor that he had on, his spear was like 600 shekels, a thing, something like that. We'll read it when I go through, but, this guy looks mighty, like, goddamn, who can take this guy down? Like, this guy looks like a freaking monster. But as you read through the story, you're going to see that that doesn't matter in the eyes of the Lord. Continue. Right, verse 4 again. And there went out a champion out of the camp of the Philistines named Goliath of Gath, whose height was 6 cubits in a span. And he had an helmet of brass upon his head, and he was armed with a coat of mail, and the height of the coat was 5,000. Sorry, and the weight of the coat was 5,000 shekels of brass. And he had greaves of brass upon his legs, and a target of brass between his shoulders. So this guy looks intimidating looking, right? And the staff of his spear was like a weaver's beam, and his spear's head weighed 600 shekels of iron, and one bearing a shield went before him. So they just basically gave a description of Goliath, like I said, about saying 600, 11 feet, about 11 feet tall when you look it up, 6 cubits in a span. And this guy has body armor that's like, God damn, what the hell is all this? And you can liken that to Esau's army. Esau had, or Adawam, sorry, habit army looks just massive, man. This man has everything. He even has, certain weaponry and arm or certain weaponry that we don't even know about that they just show you in the movies, but you don't see them out. Laser technology and things like that. I remember looking up. Lord's one, maybe I could bring it out. They have pocket-sized drones and things like that. Like, what the hell is that? Pocket-sized drones, a drone that you could put in your pocket, pull out, and it'll just go and search somebody out. That's the technology that this man has. This is like, who can take this man down? But we'll read. And I apologize for the Edomite or the Adawam picture as well. Just I try to find the best picture I can, but this was the best just to give an illustration. So, verse 8. And he stood and cried unto the armies of Israel and said unto them, Why are ye come out to set your battle in array? Am not I a Philistine, and ye servants to Saul? Choose you a man for you, and let him come down to me. If he be able to fight with me, and to kill me, then will we be your servants. And if I prevail against him, and kill him, then shall ye be our servants, and serve us. And the Philistines said, I defy the armies of Israel this day. Give me a man that we may fight together. And when Saul and all Israel heard those words of the Philistine, they were dismayed and greatly afraid. Now David was the son of that Ephratite of Bethlehem, Judah, whose name was Jesse, and he had 8 sons. And the man went among men for an old man in the days of Saul. And David's name in the Hebrew is Dawadah, which means beloved. And like the Most High said, David was a man after the Most High's heart. So David was beloved of the Most High. Verse 13. And the 3 eldest sons of Jesse went and followed Saul to the battle. And the names of his 3 sons that went to the battle were Eliab, the firstborn. Next unto him was Abinadab, and the third Shammah. And David was the youngest, and the 3 eldest followed Saul. But David went and returned from Saul to feed his father's sheep at Bethlehem. And the Philistine drew near morning and evening and presented himself 40 days. Slack it, 1 second. Had to sneeze, sorry. Just coming down with a cold. And Jesse said unto David his son, Take now for thy brethren an ephah of this parched corn, and these 10 loaves, and run to the camp to thy brethren, and carry these 10 cheeses unto the captain of their 1,000, and look how thy brethren fare, and take their pledge. Basically meaning to come back and let me know how your brethren are doing. That's what it means to take a pledge. Now Saul and they and all the men of Israel were in the valley of Elah fighting with the Philistines. And David arose up early in the morning and left the sheep with a keeper, and took and went as Jesse had commanded him. And he came to the trench as the host was going forth to the fight, and shouted for the battle. For Israel and the Philistines had put the battle in array, army against army. Right, so they were just basically lined up against each other. That's what it means to be put the battle in array. They were in formation, or if they were in formation against each other, lined up against each other. Kind of like, think about, just to give you an idea, if you watch football, think about like how, the linemen pretty much line up in a straight line against the defensive linemen, except, obviously not that close, but much farther away, and things like that. So they were in formation. And David left his carriage, verse 22, and David left his carriage in the hand of the keeper of the carriage, and ran into the army and came and saluted his brethren. And as he talked with them, behold, there came up the champion, the Philistine of Gath, Goliath by name, out of the armies of the Philistines, and spake according to the same words. And David heard them. And all the men of Israel, when they saw the man, fled from him, and were sore afraid. And the men of Israel said, Have ye seen this man that is come up? Surely to defy Israel is he come up. And it shall be that the man who killed him, the king will enrich him with great riches, and will give him his daughter, and make his father's house free in Israel. And David spake to the men that stood by him, saying, What shall be done to the man that killeth this Philistine, and taketh away the reproach from Israel? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine, that he should defy the armies of the living power? Now, to give some understanding what's going on, the Lord is setting up the situation, because the Lord wants to pretty much, bring David up on a level. Because you should be thinking, hold on, none of these men here is brave enough to go against, Goliath. Like, ain't y'all the sons of the living power? Ain't y'all, you know, the army of the living power? Like, especially King Saul. Why isn't King Saul, the king, setting the example? Why isn't he going and, fighting against Goliath? Shouldn't the king fight against the best, the best of the best? But the Lord is setting up the stage, because the Lord is showing who the true king of Israel is, a shepherd boy, because that's what David is. Because when we were reading through the story, I apologize, I passed through it, but I just wanted to reach this point to make this point. David's with the sheep. You see, Saul was out there, obviously king, out there on the battlefield. But what? David, the shepherd, who is a keeper of the sheep, uh, the Lord had it to where the David would eventually go out there, because the father wanted to know how the brothers are doing. So he told him, go take some victuals, some corn, some cheese, and let me know how your brothers are doing. But that was all how the Spirit of the Lord was setting the stage up, setting it up for David for you to see that the Lord really is showing who the true king of Israel was going to be, which is David. Because what? A shepherd is a keeper of the flock, is a watcher of the flock. And what Israel is known as, sheeps. Uh, they're known as sheeps. And what the Lord wanted the true king, which was pretty much a shepherd boy, to watch over his flock, which would be David. Because David's going to go into a story how he delivered a sheep out of the mouth of a bear and a lion, if I'm not mistaken. We'll get into it, but that's just to show you how the Lord really showing you here who the true king of Israel is going to be, a shepherd boy. Where was I? Verse 27, 1 Samuel chapter 17 and verse 27. And the people answered him after this manner, saying, So shall it be done to the man that killeth him. And Eliab his eldest brother heard when he spake unto the men, and Eliab's anger was kindled against David. And he said, Why camest thou down hither, and with whom hast thou left those few sheep in the wilderness? I know thy pride and the naughtiness of thine heart, for thou art come down that thou mightest see the battle. All right, so basically his brothers accuse him, saying, What are you doing? I know what you're up to. You're on some foolishness right now. And that's the same thing like our people look at us when we go out there and prophesy. Our people look at us, and people in general look at us as if it's a foolish thing for us to preach this word. Now, the scriptures do say through the foolishness of preaching, that is true, but still, it's a great work to go out there and preach the word. And we do have a right cause, because David's going to say it. Let me read that, a matter of fact. Verse 29, and David said, What have I now done? Is there not a cause? Correct. Because isn't there a reason for us to prophesy? Isn't there a reason for us to go out there and accuse this man of all the wickedness that he's done, to cry unto the Lord? Is there not a cause? Look at our people. Look at the way our people is living. Just the other day I had an encounter with an individual, and this man he's done, man. Our people are done. The women is done. The men of Israel is done, all but the elect. So is there not a cause to stand up and speak up? Just like David's speaking right now, because all the other men, you can liken that unto today. All you men out there, I hear it all throughout my life. Family members complain, why is life like this? Why is things like this? And now when we stand up on our feet to go out there and preach, oh, what are you doing? What's wrong with you guys? What do you mean? You wasn't speaking. You wasn't doing anything. Look at the same thing with David. All these men were just like women just saying, oh, what's going on? You see this Goliath guy? Oh my God, he's massive, man. Like, what are we going to do to beat him? You wasn't doing nothing. You wasn't saying nothing. So now when one man steps up and says, yo, I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to speak out. Is there not a cause? Now there's a problem. Verse 30, and he turned from him, and he turned from him toward another and spake after the same manner. And the people answered him again after the former manner. And when the words were heard which David spake, and rehearsed them before Saul, and he sent for him. And David said to Saul, let no man's heart fail because of him. Thy servant will go and fight with this Philistine. And Saul said to David, thou art not able to go against this Philistine to fight with him, for thou art but a youth, and he is a man of war from his youth. Right. So this dude, what you call him, Goliath, was just, a man of war from, he was bred for this, Pretty much like if you watch that movie Creed, right? The second one with Drago's son, how Drago's son was, pretty much born from a young age to be a boxer, to be a fighter. But Apollo's son Creed, I think his name was Adonis. He wasn't born. Now, yeah, he wanted to box, but he wasn't born like that. He started out, a little later to box. But Drago's son, I forgot his son's name, was born to be a fighter or born to be a boxer since he was young. His father, who was in Rocky 4, the Russian dude, well, after he lost to Rocky, was breeding him up to be a boxer, to go out there and dominate. And that's the same thing with us. We're not, we wasn't men of war from our youth. Some of us have different walks of life. Some of us was, let's just be honest, some of us was drug dealers. We changed our lives. Some of us was doing a whole bunch of wickedness and things like that in life. Not trying to sound carnal, but just being real. We come from different walks of life. So we wasn't bred to be warriors and things like that. Now, yeah, we are warriors in the spirit, and yeah, we most likely were warriors back in, our past lives. But in this time period that we're living here now, we were most of us or some of us, I don't want to put words on other brother, speak like that. But some men were raised up by their mothers and things like that. Some of us were born in single parent households and things like that. But Esau, Esau is all about war. This man is a murderer, which uh, which is the proper term. I want to bring that out also, just a little edification on that, because like the scriptures say, because you see, when we read through the story, David killed Goliath, and the scripture and the one of the commandments is thou shalt not kill. But why didn't the Lord, come down and say, David, why did you kill Goliath? What's wrong with you? Or Saul, Saul had battles. Why didn't the Lord look at Saul and be like, yo, Saul, what you doing? Isn't the commandment not to kill? Why are you killing these people for? Which really the word should not be killed there. The word really should be murder, because you have such a thing as a righteous kill, because like in the law it says, if you have man on man action or woman on woman action, Lord's will, you know what I mean by that. It says that their blood shall be upon them. So meaning that that's a righteous kill. But what? You can't go out there and murder. Like if you read later in the book of Samuel, when David and Saul had an encounter, basically David got angry at I'm not sorry, Saul, David and Nabal, because David wanted to kill Nabal, or pretty much I should say murder Nabal, because Nabal was being foolish and he didn't have any respect unto David. But then the Lord set up where Abigail, Nabal's wife, came and calmed David down. But if David had did what he wanted to do, that would have been murder, and that would have been wrong in the sight of the Lord. So just want to bring out some edification on that. That really, excuse me, apologies. That the word should properly be there. Thou shalt not murder. It shouldn't be thou shalt not kill, because we've killed. We killed to get the land of Israel. So obviously killing is not a bad thing. There is a righteous kill. It's just murder is off. So just wanted to bring out some edification on that. But continue. Let me read that again. First Samuel chapter 17, verse 33. And Saul said to David, "Thou art not able to go against this Philistine to fight with him, for thou art but a youth, and he is a man of war from his youth." Right. And Lord's when I explain that beautifully or correctly, that just like us in this time, We don't know nothing about warfare and things like that. Esau got all these armies and things like that. Esau knows about warfare. We don't. But listen to what David says. And David said unto Saul, thy servant kept his father's sheep. So he was a shepherd, a watcher of the sheep. And there came a lion and a bear, and took a lamb out of the flock. And I went out after him, and smote him, and delivered it out of his mouth. And when he arose against me, I caught him by his beard, and smote him, and slew him. And thy servant slew both the lion and the bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine shall be as one of them, seeing he hath defied the armies of the living power. So David is speaking in faith that the same way the Lord delivered me out of the mouth of the lion and the bear is the same way the Lord's going to deliver me from this Philistine. And that's how we have to come in that same spirit, to come in faith. That, yeah, I see how big this guy is, and yeah, I see how intimidating looking he is, and how things look dire. But the same way the Lord delivered me out of a dire situation with a lion and a bear, the Lord could deliver me out of this situation with this Philistine as well. And we have many stories of the Lord delivering us. We're coming up on the Passover. We had before that the Purim. You know, you have the story of the Maccabee brothers. You have this story. You have when you go later, if I'm not mistaken, in later on in this same book, the Lord goes into David and his mighty men. How the Lord used the mighty men of David and David to deliver Israel out of many situations. So we have many deliverances out of situations that look dire, look like what the hell are we gonna do? But yet the Lord made a way to deliver. Verse 37. And David said, moreover, the Lord that delivered me out of the paw of the lion and out of the paw of the bear, he will deliver me out of the hand of this Philistine. And Saul said unto David, go, and Yahweh be with thee. And Saul armed David with his armor, and he put an helmet of brass upon his head. Also he armed him with a coat of mail, and David girded his sword upon his armor, and he essayed to go, for he had not proved it. And David said unto Saul, I cannot go with these, for I have not proved them. And David put them off him. So basically he's saying, I didn't prove to have this armor upon me. So he didn't put the armor upon him. He didn't feel worthy to have the armor upon him. And he took his staff in his hand, and he chose him 5 smooth stones out of the brook, and he put them in a shepherd's bag, which he had, even in a scrip, and his sling was in his hand, and he drew near to the Philistines. So when David went out there to the battle, he didn't go out there as a warrior. He went out there as a shepherd protecting his people, as a shepherd protecting his flock. Like I said earlier, that Israel is known as the flock of the Lord, the sheep. So David didn't go out there as a warrior, although he was a warrior in the spirit, obviously. But David went out there as a shepherd watching over his flock, showing you the true king of Israel. Apologies, cold. And the Philistine came on and drew near unto David, and the man that bare the shield went before him. And when the Philistine looked about and saw David, and saw David, he disdained him, for he was but a youth, and ruddy, and of a fair countenance. And the Philistine said unto David, Am I a dog that thou comest to me with staves? And the Philistine cursed David by his gods. And the Philistine said to David, Come to me, and I will give thy flesh unto the fowls of the air, and to the beasts of the field. Verse 45. Then said David to the Philistine, Thou comest to me with a sword, and with a spear, and with a shield. But I come to thee in the name of Yahweh of hosts, the power of the armies of Israel, whom thou hast defied. And that's the same spirit that we're coming into. We don't have no weapons with us. We don't have no anything with us. The only weapon that we're coming out there is pretty much really the real weapon is our faith. Now, I'm not saying that the Bible isn't our weapon, but the real weapon that we're out there with is faith, because it takes faith to be out there and preach the word. Because if you don't have faith in that, then you won't be out there using this weapon, which is the Bible. But really, the main weapon really is our faith to go out there that the Lord has given us and to prophesy and to speak these words. Like even now I'm doing this video, this takes faith to do that. So David stepped out there on faith to go against Goliath. That's why he told him that you're coming out against me with the sword and spear, all these weapons, but I'm stepping against you in faith. I'm just a little shepherd boy here with just, a couple of rocks in my hand and a sling, But here it is, you're looking 11 feet tall, this armor that looks probably scary as hell, and a staff and a sword in your hand. But I'm stepping to you with faith compared to your weapons. And that's the same thing that we're doing today against Adawam's army. You know, he has all these tanks and these, you know, he has everything at his disposal, his army and everything. But yet, what we're stepping out on faith that the Lord has given us. The Lord has given us this faith to step out there and prophesy against him. Verse 46, and all this is of the Lord. Because even when I read, if I go back to verse 45, above it, in this Bible I have, it has like a little subtitle. It says, the Lord will smite Goliath. Because what we do is not of us. This is all of the Lord. So when people see us out there, you know, it's not us. It's the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Shah, that gives us the spirit to do these things. And Lord's one, after I'm done with the story, I'll bring out a couple of precepts for more edification on that. So it's not us. It's the Lord that does this. But, you know, people see the flesh and people are just used in this time to seeing man and, you know, man boasting what he does, that people can't look past and say, why are these men out there? Well, we're out there because the Lord has us out there. But let's go back. Verse 46. This day will Yahweh deliver thee into mine hand. He never said himself. He said the Lord will deliver you into his hand. And I will smite thee and take thine head from thee, and I will give the carcasses of the host of the Philistines this day unto the fowls of the air, and to the wild beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know that there is a God or a power in Israel. And that's what we're coming up. You know, when the enemy shall come in like a flood, then the Spirit of the Lord shall lift up a standard against him. Everybody's going to know that there is a power dealing with the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians, which are the Israelites, and those scattered that look like the other nations as well. You know, we're no longer going to be looked at as like, oh, you guys ain't nobody. No, you're going to know that the power of heaven and earth is dealing with us. Verse 47, and all this assembly shall know that the Lord saveth not with spear. I'm sorry. And all this assembly shall know that Yahweh saveth not with sword and spear, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give you into our hands. Right. So that is how we're going to be able to bring down our enemies. It's not through carnal means or anything like that. Like the scriptures say, for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal but spiritual, mighty to the pulling down of strongholds. We're not going to take these people down by getting carnal like them and going out there with weapons or anything like that. Our faith and this Bible and the belief in these words, this is our weapon. This is what's going to bring down this man's kingdom. Matter of fact, let me see if I can find a quick precept actually. Hold on, give me 1 second. I believe it's in Jeremiah. Right, this is Jeremiah 1 and 10. Matter of fact, I'll start at 9. Jeremiah 1 and 9. Then Yahweh put forth his hand and touched my mouth, and Yahweh said unto me, behold, I have put my words in thy mouth. See, I have set thee this day over nations and over kingdoms, to root out and to pull down and to destroy and to throw down, to build and to plant. So the Lord set us up to build and to bring down these kingdoms through faith. 1 second. Give me 1 second. Salakia. Let me just finish this up quickly, unfortunately. Uh, Verse 48, continuing. And it came to pass when the Philistine arose and came and drew nigh to meet David, that the Philistine hasted and ran toward the army to meet the Philistine. Sorry, let me read that again. And it came to pass when the Philistine arose and came and drew nigh to meet David, that David hasted and ran toward the army to meet the Philistine. And David put his hand in his bag and took thence a stone and slang it, and smote the Philistine in his forehead, that the stone sunk into his forehead, and he fell upon his face toward the earth. So David prevailed over the Philistine with a sling and with a stone, and smote the Philistine, and slew him, but there was no sword in the hand of David. So that's how easy this man, who was looking like a complete beast, a monster out there, was taken down so easily with the sling and with the stone. All that talk, looking down at another man. But yeah, he was taken down so easily. And that's the same thing with Esau. You're being taken, God, I keep doing it, apologies, but Adawam, he's being taken down very easily. How? Just by words, just by prophesying, just by speaking the words out of a book that everybody looks like, that's nothing. But yet, what did the Lord tell Jeremiah? I've set thee this day to root out, to pull down. Just by speaking these words through the spirit and power of Yahweh, B'Shem Yahshua, we're pulling down this man's strongholds. We're bringing this man's kingdom down by something so easily. We're not coming out here with weapons and shields and armor or anything like that. No, we're just coming out here preaching the word for about 2 to 3 hours, and then that's it. And we do our videos as well, like now, and then that's it. Something so simple, so easy is bringing down your mighty kingdom. Just like Goliath, who was this 11-foot giant, looking all massive and big and brolic, but yet it was taken out so easy with just a sling and a stone. Uh, Verse 51. Therefore David ran and stood upon the Philistine, and took his sword, and drew it out of the sheath thereof, and slew him, and cut off his head therewith. And when the Philistines saw their champion was dead, they fled. And that's basically the story. But so easily was Goliath taken down, all this boasting and everything, and it was so, just come to nothing. Just like matter of fact, let me bring out a couple of precepts, like I said. So let me read in Revelations, because Revelation came to mind first. Where is it? Why am I not seeing it? Oh, here it is. Where should I start? Well, I'll read it. Revelation chapter 18 and verse 17. For in 1 hour so great riches is come to naught, and every shipmaster and all the company of ships and sailors, and as many as trade by sea, stood afar off. Yeah, basically going into how in 1 hour this place is going to be destroyed. So for all this mighty works that Babylon the Great has done, in 1 hour it's going to be, everything's going to come to naught. Every work that you've done, everything is just going to be done away with. Just like with Goliath, all that boasting and everything, but yet look how quickly and how easily he was defeated. Probably thought he was going to have him and David or whoever fought him was going to have a mighty battle in this. Nope, it's so easily. Just slinging a stone, took him out. Going up to spiritual. How you got here, bro? Oh, I got killed by a slinging a stone. Really? Wow. But all that boasting. Let me get 1 Corinthians, because I went into how the Lord, let me just read it. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 1 and verse 27. But the Most High had chosen the foolish things of the world to confound the wise. Right, Goliath was looked at as this big individual, but David was this smaller individual, just like us. Esau is looked at as wise in this world. He's looked at as this mighty guy, but we're looked at as foolish. We're despised. But read that. I'm gonna read that again. But the Most High had chosen the foolish things of the world to confound the wise. We're looked at as foolish, and Esau is looked at as wise. And the Most High had chosen the weak things of the world to confound things which are mighty. And in this world, Esau is looked at as mighty, and he is. But what? The weak things of the world, the people that were low, were poor, the meek will inherit the earth. We're the ones that are despised, but yet we're the ones that's going to inherit the earth forever, the Israelites. So the mighty one who looked so big and bad, but yet what? Is going to be brought to nothing. Like what did the Lord say? For just the same thing with Pharaoh. For this very cause have I raised thee up, that I might show my power in thee, that all for my name may be, so that my name may be glorified in the earth. Roughly paraphrasing. So that's why you've been brought up on a high level, on a mighty level. So that way, what? The Lord can show his power. I'll read that again. For the Most High, Yahweh, B'Shem Yahushai, had chosen the weak things, us, of the world, to confound the things which are mighty, and the base things of the world, and things which are despised, hath the Most High chosen, yea, and things which are not to bring to things, and things which are not to bring to naught things that are, which is your kingdom, to bring your kingdom to naught. So the Most High chosen the foolish, the weak things of the world, not the mighty, not the strong. Just want to bring out some precepts and Psalms, and that'll be it. This is Psalm 60, and I'll start at 9. This is Psalm chapter 60, verse 9. It says, Who will bring me into it? Who will bring me into the strong city? Who will lead me into Edom? Will not thou, O power, which hadst cast us off, and thou, O power, which didst not go out with our armies? Give us help from trouble, for vain is the help of man. Through the Most High we shall do valiantly, for he it is that shall tread down our enemies. Right, so it's the Most High that will tread down our enemies. It's not of us, it's of the Most High. So the fact that you see men prophesying on the streets, it's not of man, or else it will come to naught. But if it be of the Most High, you will be seen to fight against the Most High. Roughly paraphrasing that scripture as well. When Gamaliel was telling the high priest and stuff to back off on the apostles. So this is not of man. This, if we're going to do anything, it's going to be of the Most High. But yeah, that's about it. Yeah, I believe I've made the point, and pray that this video is edifying. Again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory as always to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rachak, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. Stay strong. Shalom.